picture this. You're wearing a shirt covered in 6,000 pounds worth of actual pearls because you're that guy. You're funding expeditions, writing poetry, you're the Queen's favourite, and then you get your head chopped off for chasing a city of gold that doesn't exist. And here's the truly insane part. Your wife keeps your severed head in a velvet bag for 29 years. That's Sir Walter Raleigh, speedrun his own destruction and then became a fashion accessory.
A fashion accessory, Mike. His wife loved him so much, she preserved his head as a keepsake. That's devotion.
That's unhinged.
It's romantic.
It's a severed head in a bag.
Which she kept for almost 3 decades. That's commitment.
Mark, that's not... Wait, what was I saying?
You were about to admit I'm right.
I was not.
Listeners, today we're covering Sir Walter Raleigh, explorer, soldier, poet, courtier, absolute legend who wore his wealth, couldn't read political winds, and whose life ended on a scaffold because King James needed to appease Spain. Mike thinks Raleigh deserved his fate. I think he was murdered by a corrupt, cowardly system. Let's fight about it for 45 minutes.
Quick note before we start, we're talking about the 15 and 1600s here, which means colonisation, violence against Indigenous peoples and Irish civilians, and attitudes. We obviously condemn history's complicated and often brutal, just so we're clear.
All right, let's get into it.
Right. Okay, so Sir Walter Raleigh, born around 1554 or 1555 in Devon, England. Exact date unknown because birth records weren't systematic yet and nobody thought this minor gentry kid would matter.
But Devon in the 1500s is basically Silicon Valley for exploration. Francis Drake's from there, Humphrey Gilbert, Richard Grenville, everyone's funding voyages, building ships, terrorising Spaniards.
Legally terrorising Spaniards because England and Spain are in this Cold War meets actual war over religion and colonial claims.
Spain's Catholic, England's Protestant under Elizabeth, and they absolutely loathe each other. So Raleigh grows up in this environment where going to sea and fighting Catholics is just what ambitious young men do.
He goes to Oxford Oriel College in 1572, stays about a year, leaves without a degree, which is normal for gentlemen. Then he goes to France to fight in the religious wars because, wait, what else would he do? Stay home and farm? No. You go kill Catholics.
And then he comes back and gets involved in Irish colonisation. And we need to be absolutely clear about this. Colonisation meant brutal military suppression, massacres, scorched earth tactics, horrific violence. Raleigh wasn't just participating, he was effective at it. That's how he gets noticed.
He's ruthless, he's successful, and in 1581 he gets sent to report directly to the Queen's advisors about the Irish situation. And this is the turning point. This is where Walter Raleigh stops being random soldier number 47 and becomes Walter Raleigh, professional royal favourite.
So there's this legendary story, probably complete fiction, where Raleigh sees Queen Elizabeth about to step in a mud puddle and he whips off his expensive cloak and throws it down so she doesn't ruin her shoes.
Total propaganda, but it captures something true. Raleigh knows how to perform. He's witty, he's charming, he writes poetry, he's good looking. He's basically... What's the thing I'm trying to say?
He's the Elizabethan version of that LinkedIn guy who posts about CEO mindset and crushing it.
Perfect. Yes. That guy.
And Elizabeth loves him. Within 2 years, she's granting him monopolies on wine imports, giving him estates, knighting him. By 1585, he's Sir Walter Raleigh, and he's got more wealth and influence than he can handle.
But he's not satisfied being rich and powerful. He wants to be remembered. So he starts funding expeditions to North America. And in 1585, he sends colonists to Roanoke Island off the coast of what's now North Carolina.
The first expedition comes back, but the second one, in 1587, that's the famous Lost Colony.
Over 100 people just vanish. When supply ships return in 1590, everyone's gone. The only clue is Croatoan carved into a post.
Which is genuinely unsettling. These are real people, families, children who disappeared from history. Did they integrate with the Croatoan tribe, starve, try to sail home and die? We still don't know.
And Raleigh never goes to Roanoke himself. He funds it, organises it, but Elizabeth won't let him leave England. She wants her favourite clothes.
That's kind of sweet though, right? In a possessive Tudor way?
It's a gilded cage, Mark. She controls his entire existence.
Fine. Toxic situationship with absolute power dynamics.
There we go. So while Raleigh's funding doomed colonies from England, he's making enemies at court. The other nobles hate him because he's flashy, arrogant, and constantly flaunting his wealth. Remember that shirt?
The pearl shirt?
£6,000 worth of pearls sewn directly into fabric. He wore it to court as a flex.
That's okay. That's the most absurd status symbol I've ever heard. That's crypto bro energy before crypto existed.
It's pure Raleigh. Look at me. My shirt costs more than your estate.
People must have despised him.
Oh, they did. But the real problem is Spain. Raleigh's aggressively anti-Spanish. He's advocating for constant military pressure, attacking their ships, challenging their colonial claims.
Because Spain claims they own the entire Western Hemisphere based on a pope drawing a line on a map.
Sure, but England's logic is also, we want it so it's ours, so nobody has moral high ground here.
Fair.
In 1588, the Spanish Armada happens. Spain sends this massive invasion fleet. England defeats them, and Raleigh's involved in coastal defence. He's now cemented as a war hero and patriot.
This is his peak. War hero, royal favourite, absurdly wealthy, culturally influential.
And then he secretly marries one of the Queen's ladies in waiting and ruins everything.
Oh no.
Oh, yes.
Okay, but explain to me why falling in love is a crime.
Because he marries Elizabeth Throckmorton, they call her Bess, without asking the Queen's permission. And that's a massive breach of protocol.
But people get married. This is normal.
Not if you're the Queen's favourite and you marry someone in her household. Everything Raleigh has, she gave him. His wealth, his power, his position, all of it comes from her favour. And in her mind, he betrayed her.
She's jealous.
Obviously, she's jealous. But when the Queen's jealous, people go to prison.
So what happens?
The Queen finds out because Bess gets pregnant. She has a son, Damaray, who tragically dies in infancy, but by then it's too late. Summer of 1592, both Raleigh and Bess get thrown in the Tower of London.
For falling in love and getting married?
For getting married without permission and humiliating the Queen.
This is insane. Can you imagine if your boss could imprison you for getting married? Hey everyone, I'm engaged. Great. Jail.
Well, Raleigh's boss could and did. They're released after a few months, but Raleigh's banished from court. He loses his position, his access, his political influence. He's still rich, but he's irrelevant.
And this is the inflection point. This is where his entire life pivots. He goes from rising star to has-been overnight.
And that's when the El Dorado obsession begins.
The city of gold.
Which doesn't exist.
He didn't know that.
Mark, everyone knew it was a myth. Spanish conquistadors had been searching for decades. They never found it because it wasn't there.
But Raleigh thought, wait, no, let me finish. He thought if he could find gold, any gold in South America, he could buy his way back into royal favour. He's desperate. He's been humiliated. He needs a win.
So in 1595, he mounts an expedition to Guyana, modern Venezuela. He sails up the Orinoco River, nearly dies of tropical disease, talks to indigenous peoples about gold, and comes back with basically nothing.
But he writes a book, The Discovery of Guyana. It's a bestseller.
Because he lies in it. He describes cities of gold and Amazon warriors and wealth beyond measure, none of which he actually saw. He's trying to attract investors for future expeditions.
That's marketing.
That's fraud, Mark.
It's aspirational storytelling.
It's a scam. He's selling people on a fantasy.
He believed in it, though.
Which makes him delusional, not honest.
Okay, fine. The El Dorado thing didn't work out. What does he do next?
He pivots back to military operations. In 1596, he joins a major raid on Cadiz, Spain. They burn ships, loot the city. Very successful. This starts rehabilitating his reputation.
War hero again.
Sure. But then in 1603, Queen Elizabeth dies. And the new king is James I of England, also James VI of Scotland. And James absolutely does not trust Raleigh.
Because Raleigh's been Elizabeth's guy for 20 years. He's tied to the old regime. And James wants peace with Spain, which is the opposite of everything Raleigh represents.
Correct. So within months of James taking the throne, Raleigh's arrested for treason.
For a conspiracy he didn't participate in.
The main plot. It's this scheme to replace James with his cousin Arabella Stuart. Raleigh knows some people involved, but there's no hard evidence he was part of it.
Because he wasn't. This is a political purge. James is eliminating Elizabeth's favourites.
Probably. But Raleigh's convicted anyway, sentenced to death. Except James doesn't execute him. He just leaves him in the tower for 13 years.
13 years.
Sentenced to death, but not dead. Just waiting every single day, wondering if today's the day they kill you.
That's psychological torture.
It absolutely is. But Raleigh's imprisonment is bizarre because he has privileges. His wife and son visit. He's given rooms, a garden, a laboratory. He conducts chemistry experiments, distills medicine. He even creates this healing cordial called Balsam of Guyana that becomes famous. Queen Anne James's wife supposedly uses it.
He's running a prison salon. Intellectuals visit him. He's writing his massive history of the world,
which covers ancient history but stops at around 130 BCE because he's writing about dangerous ambitions and corrupt rulers. And he realises if he reaches English history, he'll get himself executed even faster.
Smart.
Very smart. But he's also part of this rumoured intellectual circle called the School of Night.
The what?
Supposedly, Raleigh, Christopher Marlowe, and others studied mathematics, astronomy, possibly atheistic philosophy. It was considered scandalous. Some people thought they were doing sorcery.
Wait, Raleigh was accused of being a wizard?
Almost. The allegations didn't stick, but it was dangerous.
That's incredible.
So after 13 years, Raleigh pitches King James an offer. Let me out. I'll go back to Guyana. I'll find gold. Real gold this time, enough to enrich England.
And James agrees. He releases Raleigh.
But, and this is critical, James explicitly says, do not attack the Spanish. We're at peace. Explore, mine, but no fighting.
Which is impossible.
Why?
Because the Spanish are already there. There are settlements. How is Raleigh supposed to mine without encountering Spanish soldiers?
That's Raleigh's problem. James wants plausible deniability, gold without the political blowback.
So, Raleigh now, 64, sick 13 years, imprisoned, somehow organises an expedition, gets investors, ships, crew, sails for South America in 1617.
And it's immediately a catastrophe. Crew gets sick, ship's damaged, journey takes forever. By the time they reach the Orinoco, Raleigh's too ill to lead the inland party himself.
So he sends his son, Walter Raleigh Jr., with his second in command, Lawrence Keymis, to find the gold mine.
And they don't find gold. They find Santo Tomé de Guayana, a Spanish town. A fight breaks out. The Spanish fire first. Raleigh's men fire back, and Raleigh's son is killed.
Mike? His son died.
I know. It's genuinely tragic. But they also burned down the Spanish settlement.
They were defending themselves.
They were in Spanish territory. Unauthorized after being explicitly told not to fight?
James set them up to fail.
Maybe, but Raleigh still accepted the mission.
So Keymis comes back to the ships, tells Raleigh what happened. Raleigh's devastated. His son's dead, no gold, everything's fallen apart.
And Keymis, consumed by guilt, shoots himself, commits suicide right there.
God.
So Raleigh's lost his son, lost his second in command, found no gold, and started an international incident. The expedition collapses. They sail back to England.
Raleigh knows he's finished. He tries to escape to France, but he's caught and arrested.
Now, here's where it gets truly corrupt. King James is under massive pressure from the Spanish ambassador. Spain's furious, demanding Raleigh's execution, threatening war.
So James makes a deal. He tells Spain, I'll execute him.
But legally, there's a problem. Raleigh hasn't been convicted of anything new. The only conviction is the treason charge from 1603.
Which he'd already been sentenced to death for. But then the sentence was suspended for 13 years.
And now James just reactivates it.
That's illegal. You can't recycle old death sentences like they're coupons.
James can. He's the king. Nobody stops him.
This is judicial murder. This is one of the most corrupt acts by an English monarch.
I mean, Henry VIII killed 2 wives and dissolved all the monasteries. So
at least Henry pretended to have new charges. James is literally just using old paperwork.
True. And it makes James look weak and corrupt. Damages his reputation permanently. So October 29th, 1618, Old Palace Yard, Westminster. Raleigh's brought out for execution.
And he's extraordinary, calm, composed, gives this long speech defending his actions.
He's denying disloyalty to England, which depending on definition might be true. He clearly loved England. He just also attacked Spanish territory without authorization.
He was trying to serve his country.
He was trying to save his own life by finding imaginary gold.
Why can't it be both?
Fine, both.
So he finishes his speech. The executioner shows him the axe. Raleigh examines the blade.
And he says, this is a sharp medicine, but it is a physician for all diseases and miseries.
Literary references right up to the end. That's so Raleigh.
The executioner is terrified. He's about to execute someone famous and beloved, and Raleigh sees him hesitating and says,
What dost thou fear? Strike, man, strike.
2 blows. Raleigh dies.
They show his severed head to the crowd, as was customary. His body's buried at St. Margaret's Church, Westminster.
And then his wife, Bess, takes his head,
Has it embalmed
keeps it in a red velvet bag.
for 29 years.
29 years.
She carries her husband's severed head around until she dies in 1647.
And then their son, Carew, inherits it. And he keeps it too, until he dies. And supposedly it's buried with Carew at West Horsley, Surrey.
Mike, this is the most romantic thing I've ever heard.
It's the most disturbing thing I've ever heard.
Disagree. It's devotion,
It's a severed head in a bag.
which she kept for 3 decades because she loved him.
That's not love. I don't even know what that is.
Valerie wouldn't let me do that.
Nobody should let you do that.
But if she really loved me,
Mark, no.
I'm just saying,
No. All right, let's talk about the Raleigh mythology. Because so much of what people think they know about him is false.
like what?
Like the tobacco thing. People say Raleigh introduced tobacco to England. He didn't. It was already being imported.
But he popularised it, made it fashionable at court.
Maybe. There's also this story, probably fake, that his servant saw him smoking, thought he was on fire, and threw water on him.
I love that. Is it true?
Almost certainly not, but it's a great story, which is very Raleigh. He generates legends whether he wants to or not.
What else is false?
Potatoes. People claim he introduced potatoes to Ireland. Also false. Potatoes came through Spanish trade routes. Raleigh wasn't involved.
But there are entire Irish myths about him planting the first one.
All false. Potatoes spread through normal agricultural networks.
So what did he actually do?
He was a talented courtier, capable military commander, good poet. He was friends with Edmund Spenser, who dedicated part of the Fairy Queen to him, and he was a spectacularly bad decision maker who couldn't accept when his time was over.
That's reductive.
It's accurate.
He was visionary. He understood England needed overseas expansion. He saw the future.
And executed that vision terribly. All his projects failed. Other people succeeded by learning from his mistakes.
So he was a pioneer.
He was a warning label.
I hate you so much right now.
You asked modern parallels time because Raleigh's story is incredibly relevant today.
How?
His entire identity is tied to proximity to power. Everything he is comes from being the Queen's favourite. When that relationship ends, he's got nothing. No backup plan, no plan B, just this desperate scramble to get back what he lost.
So he's like a political appointee who loses their job when administrations change?
Exactly. Or a tech executive whose entire career depends on one CEO. Leadership changes, they're done. We see this constantly. Someone's the golden child under one regime, then suddenly they're irrelevant.
But Raleigh didn't give up. He kept fighting.
And it killed him. His inability to accept his time was over destroyed him. Mark, he was 65 years old, had been in prison 13 years, and he organised a doomed expedition that got his son killed.
Because he had hope. Because he believed he could still contribute.
He believed in a fantasy. There was no gold. There never was. He chased a myth into enemy territory, and it cost his son's life.
But James set him up. The mission was impossible from the start.
So he shouldn't have taken it. That's my point. He walked into an obvious trap because he couldn't let go. So he shouldn't have taken it. That's my point. He walked into an obvious trap because he couldn't let go.
Or maybe, and I know this is radical, maybe he was desperate and willing to take any chance to escape that prison.
Then he was wrong because all it did was get him executed.
Let me ask you something. What if he'd found gold? What if the expedition succeeded?
Wouldn't matter.
What? Of course it would. If he'd come back rich, James would have forgiven everything.
No, he wouldn't. James didn't want gold. Mark, he wanted peace with Spain. If Raleigh had come back with gold and dead Spaniards, James would have been even angrier because now he's got diplomatic crisis and a successful rival.
So Raleigh was doomed from the start?
Pretty much. He was politically obsolete. James saw him as a liability. The expedition was just the excuse.
Then this is tragedy. Raleigh's trapped in a system that's already decided he's expendable.
Welcome to monarchy.
I hate kings.
Everyone should.
Did we just agree?
Don't get used to it. Let's talk about his writing, because Raleigh was actually talented.
Finally, something positive.
He wrote this poem called The Lie. It's basically him attacking everyone, the court, the church, lawyers, everyone. It's bitter and angry and brilliant.
He's ranting in verse. Very on brand.
He also wrote love poetry. As You Came from the Holy Land is genuinely beautiful. Melancholy but elegant.
And his history of the world that he wrote in the Tower, that was massive, right?
Huge. Covers everything from creation through ancient Rome. Stops at 130 BCE because he's writing about ambitious rulers and corrupt systems, and he realizes continuing to English history will get him killed faster.
Self-preservation through strategic incompleteness.
Exactly, but the book was genuinely respected. Multiple editions, used as a university text in some places.
So he's a Renaissance man. Explorer, soldier, courtier, poète, historien, amateur, wizard.
He wasn't actually a wizard.
The School of Night thing
Was intellectual curiosity that people misinterpreted as occultism.
still sounds witchy.
It wasn't witchy.
Agree to disagree. Can we go deeper into the execution psychology? Because Raleigh's behaviour at death is fascinating.
Go ahead.
The night before, he's in his cell, he knows tomorrow he dies, and he writes his final poem, Even Such Is Time.
Even such is time that takes in trust our youth, our joys, our all we have, and pays us but with earth and dust.
It's melancholy but not desperate. He's accepting it.
All performing acceptance. Remember, Raleigh's been performing his entire life. This is his final show.
You think it's not genuine?
I think everything Raleigh does is partly performance. That doesn't make it meaningless, but he understands theatre. He's shaping how he'll be remembered.
That's probably true.
So morning comes, he's brought to the scaffold, huge crowd. He gives this long speech defending himself.
Denying disloyalty, claiming he always served England.
Which is probably true from his perspective. He loved England. He just had terrible judgment about serving it.
Then he asks for the axe. The executioner hands it to him. Raleigh examines the blade, makes that joke about sharp medicine.
Which is incredibly dark humour. The man's about to die and he's crafting zingers.
And the executioner's terrified, hesitating. And Raleigh tells him, What dost thou fear? Strike, man, strike!
2 blows, done.
And then Bess takes the head.
Vervet bog.
For 29 years.
Which brings us back to romantic or disturbing.
Romantic. Obviously
disturbing.
She loved him so much she couldn't let him go.
She kept his severed head like a souvenir.
Like a precious memento.
You need help. Professional help?
Valerie says the same thing.
Valerie's right. So, final assessment. What's the lesson here? What do we take from Walter Raleigh's life?
That audacity matters. That taking risks is worth it even when you fail. That intensity of living counts for something.
And that inability to read changing circumstances will absolutely destroy you. That knowing when to quit is a survival skill. That chasing fantasies gets people killed.
Can both be true.
Yeah, both can be true. Raleigh lived intensely. He achieved real things, knighthood, wealth, genuine military success, but he also couldn't adapt. And when his time ended, he should have accepted it. Instead, he chased a myth and it cost his son's life and his own head.
He was complicated. He participated in horrific colonial violence. He exploited people. He was vain and reckless. But he also wrote beautiful poetry, funded genuine exploration, and faced death with courage.
He was deeply, messily human.
And his wife kept his head in a velvet bag for 3 decades.
Which somehow is the perfect ending to this story.
Romantic ending.
Disturbing ending?
We're never resolving this, are we?
Absolutely not.
All right, listeners, that's Sir Walter Raleigh. Renaissance man, spectacular failure, guy who couldn't read the room and whose wife loved him so much she kept his severed head as a keepsake for 29.
Which is either the greatest love story ever or the most unhinged thing in English history.
It's love.
It's evidence of psychological issues.
disagree.
You're unwell.
If you enjoyed this episode, and if you're team romantic or team disturbing, leave us a review. Tell your friends. Argue with us in the comments.
Please don't actually argue about whether keeping your spouse's severed head is romantic.
Definitely argue about that.
That's not our brand.
It is now,
We'll see you next time on the Mike and Mark History Experience,
where we examine historical figures who made spectacularly bad decisions and somehow still became legends.
and where we debate the romantic merit of carrying severed heads in velvet bags,
Which is romantic.
which is absolutely not.
We'll let the audience decide,
I fear their judgment.
as you should. See you next time, everyone.